All right, everybody, we are live once again. Welcome back to Love and Relationships. And this is where we have the doggone conversation. So, listen, if you're watching on the replay, I want you to go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and don't forget to comment below. I want to welcome everybody back. We got some special guests for us today, and we're going to get into the conversation. Welcome back. Our co host, say something to the people, Val.
Beep, beep, toot, toot. Hey, good people, it's your Alabama church girl. First, giving honor to God, who is the head of my life. To all the leaders, saints, and friends, welcome, welcome, welcome on in. And make sure you're inviting a friend.
Isn't she so professional, y'all?
Yes.
All right, and our special guest tonight, we have Chantel Simone. She has a YouTube channel, and she talks about dating and relationships as well. Chantel, say something to the people.
Hi guys, hi people. I don't have a catchy intro like Val, but I hope you guys having a wonderful day and thank you guys for having me.
Oh, it is certainly good to be here. Well, listen, our antagonizer may or may not join us tonight, but in the event that he doesn't, I'll play the role for us tonight. It's your boy JD, aka Mr. December. And listen, let me just say, I want to thank everybody for the support that everybody's been showing so far. And immediately after tonight's live stream, we are going to be doing our second giveaway. So if you haven't done the steps yet, check in the group and look at the instructions on how to do that. And we're going to go ahead and get right into it. First topic of tonight: who should have to come to the table first to end the gender wars? Alabama church girl, talk to the people. Who do you think should have to come to the table first to end this gender war?
The humblest person in the relationship.
Meaning?
Simplest answer I can give you.
And not just in a specific relationship together, as far as black men and black women coming together. Like, who should be the ones to come to the table first in order to try to get us back on the right page, get us back on one accord?
I think those who have a cool head and a calm temperament that are ready to have the conversation. Those who really desire to be on the same page. How can you walk together unless you first agree? And the first thing you have to agree on is that we want this. We desire this. There has to be a meeting of the minds that say, let's come to this table and let's talk about it. And then we can iron out our differences. We have to be able to lay it all out on the table. Someone that's honest, someone that's vulnerable, someone that's pure, that comes and says, hey, this is what my heart desires. These are our challenges. Now, how can we overcome them?
Okay, Chantel, what do you got for us? Who do you think should come to the table first?
So you're asking in terms of either men or women, in terms of gender, what gender has to come to the table first?
Right.
I would think that we both have to kind of come to an agreement, as Miss Alabama Church Girl just said. It's unrealistic to expect one person at the table if another person isn't willing to come to the table. So we both have to have the understanding and the need and the want to come to the table. However, I must say that I think with the F movement, the woman empowerment movement, I know we can't say that word on YouTube. With the woman empowerment movement, women have left the table. And it can be because of hurt, from pain, from childhood trauma, or from feeling oppressed. So we have left the table, but I think women have to be willing. I think there's a wall with a lot of women. Of course, not all, but most women, they have to have an open mind and a willingness to go to the table. I think men are more willing. So if we're going to need an answer, I would say women have to come to the table, have to have an open heart and come to the table first.
Are y'all ready for my answer?
Yes.
I think the women should come to the table first. And this is you surprised, huh?
That's so shocking.
Listen, this is the reason why I say that. Because to me, it's been so long that men have gotten the short end of the stick the short end of the bargain, the negative message in media the longest, and to me, over the last 20, 30 years, it's been noted and taken down that men have done significantly better over the last 20 to 30 years. We have more men enrolled in college. We have more men being educated. We have more men trying to, I want to use one of y'all's words and say level up, so to speak. Because look, I'll just be honest with you. We tired of being called dusty. We tired of being called raggedy, and the kind of men that I'm talking about, that I talk to, we don't want to be grouped in that lower standard of man. Because I believe I said it on the last live stream, the ones of us that are trying to maximize our earning potential, we're trying to get in the gym, we're doing better, trying to be the best version of ourselves, but yet it seems like we get more pushback from our own women. So that's why I say women should come to the table first, because if you want to talk about a gender war, it's usually the ones who lose the war that has to come to the table first and say, okay, this is what we're willing to do. And I don't want y'all to think that I'm bashing women. I hate women. I love women. I love Black women.
Women.
Yeah, I love Black women, but the narrative toward the Black man has been so bad for so long. And that's why, men are creating spaces like this for our voices to be heard. I mean, just today, I had a lot of guys inbox me and say how excited and how proud they were, to be a part of something on this level, to give men a voice to say stuff that we've been saying for years. I'm talking about for years, but it's only been just now that men feel comfortable enough or empowered enough, for the lack of a better term, to say some of the stuff that we've been feeling and to say what we've been wanting for years from our women. So that's why I say women need to come to the table first, and of course we will join you all. Of course we'll join you at the table, but to me it needs to be women coming first and saying, hey, well, this is what we would like to do, or this is what we need to do in order to get our families and relationships back. Because the fact of the matter is, we need more two-parent homes. We need more Black relationships, and we need that community. We need a strong foundation in our community. And the way that we do it is for Black men, Black women to get together, get along, and start producing more families. And also, it's been the narrative that we've heard for so long is, I don't need a man, I don't want a man, I can do it on my own. And then, we just kind of left out there like, okay, so what do we do?
And to that point,
go ahead.
To that point, you can one can argue that the men never left the table then, because with the movement, with the women empowerment movement, women are the ones who left the table and said, we don't need a man, we're independent without a man, because welfare, because we were able to survive without our men. So one can argue that men didn't even leave the table.
I see it from a different perspective. I would argue that the women and children never left the table. It's the men that have been booted from the table. Yes, you mentioned something that one of our social issues that does play a part in men not being at the table in our Black homes, in the two-parent home, which is the welfare system. That plays a major part. The criminal justice system plays a major part in the fact that the men are not at the table with us. But we also have to acknowledge too that patriarchy plays a part as well. We have to acknowledge that domestic violence plays a part as well. We also have to acknowledge that the cheatation of the situations play a part as well.
You're muted.
Oh, my bad. What did you say? The who?
I said the cheatations of the situations.
The cheatations, meaning Meaning what?
Cheating.
What does that mean?
Cheating.
Uh-huh.
Not being faithful in
On
the
the men's
relationship.
part. On men's
Yeah, I had
part.
to borrow a term from Wendy Williams.
You mean cheating on the men's part or the women's part?
Either way, cheating in the relationship, whether it's on her part or his part.
Okay.
Now, and the reason I put it in that perspective is because if a man cheats, generally women are willing to stay in the relationship. They're willing to stay at the table, especially if they see a greater good in the relationship. But if a woman cheats, 9 times out of 10, that man's not gonna stay.
Well, I mean, it's different when women cheat.
Here we are with the
I'm being
standard.
serious. I'm being serious. It's different when women cheat because if let me just put it out there like this. I do not advocate cheating. You know, I consider myself to not be a cheater. However, if men cheat, it's just because of an outward desire. If women cheat, 9 times out of 10 is going to be some kind of emotions attached to it.
Well, we're living in a new day and age. We're not necessarily.
I mean, well, we're living in a new day and age, but bio is still the same. Our instincts are still the same. Women tend to, when women have sex, we have sex with our emotions and our feelings. So that's why when women cheat, it's more of an attachment. I mean, even look at our bodies. When we cheat, we are receiving another man's, other than our husband, DNA.
Being a receiver does not necessarily mean that you are emotionally attached. Sometimes, and we're living in a new day and age, that women are just, hey, I'm gonna tit for tat you. You cheat, I'm gonna cheat on you too.
That's an immature mindset.
And that seems to be, to me, a little more masculine, and it's dangerous.
It definitely is.
To me, it's dangerous because you, as a female, you could be thinking, "Oh, well, I'm gonna just do this tit for tat or whatever," but deep down is really some emotional connections tied to it, whether you know it or you don't.
So now, first of all, I would beg to differ that men don't have emotional attachments when it comes to sex. I would beg to differ because they do. Secondly, I have to acknowledge I'm the Alabama church girl. All things for me start, begin, and end at the church. So I have to acknowledge that huge patriarchal part of this conversation. Because patriarchy has oppressed women for generation after generation after generation, this new generation is like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not taking that. I'm not going to live under that type of subjection. And yes, young women are definitely taking on a more masculine energy. Like, okay, I'm going to treat you like you treated me. I think that whole era of Steve Harvey has made an influence, an impact to think like a man and act like the men. And women are actually acting out in that manner. You hear it in our music. You hear it in the arts of today's time. Think about it.
To what extent? Because you mentioned that, women have been held down for so long. We've been oppressed for so long. And then now we're somewhat standing up and saying, oh, you hurt me for so long. I'm going to get you back. I'm going to do you like how you do me. Okay, to what extent?
To the extent of, yes, they will cheat and not have any care or emotion for the person that they cheated with.
So then how does that benefit the Black community? How does that benefit having more people?
It doesn't. It's detrimental in the long run. But I'm acknowledging that does happen. It is definitely happening at a greater rate than we've ever seen before.
So you're saying women are cheating more than men in this day and age?
Women are cheating without attachments.
I see what you're saying. I see
what you're saying too. I'm sorry, you can go ahead.
No, go ahead, Chantel.
I mean, I see what you're saying too, but then emotions are still attached to it. If I'm gonna have sex, say JD and I are married and he cheated on me, and I say, I'm so hurt, I'm gonna go sleep with someone else. That's still my emotions leading me to do that action. So even though I'm sleeping with that other person with no emotions attached, my emotions was the one who caused me to do that action.
Okay, so the original question is, what has caused the two not to be at the table? And my statement is that patriarchy plays a part in the fact that the cheatation of the situation has to be acknowledged, whether it's from the man cheating in the relationship or whether it's the woman cheating in the relationship. All right, are we there? Are we on the same page?
Yes and no. And
Cheating in a relationship will cause someone to leave the relationship.
I see your point, but my thing is, if women are acting out in this way, that's detrimental to the community, that's detrimental to our Black families, then why shouldn't the women come to the table first and say, hey, you know what? We've been acting out this way for so long. Let us go back or let us go back and change our behavior at least.
So my train of thought, where we were, when cheatation happens, someone leaves the table. And 9 times out of 10, I stated that women, I feel from my perspective, women are still at the table. But if she's cheated, that man has left that table. So you two thought that the woman should come to the table. I stated that I feel the woman is still at the table.
But you said that her cheating, she cheated out of revenge. So then she left the table to cheat out of revenge.
No.
Yeah, I think if somebody is leaving the table, then I think the woman is, like Chantel said, is leaving out of revenge and leaving because of that emotional factor. Let's see. Somebody says on YouTube, Christian values are unfortunately a thing of the past. Promiscuity is no longer shamed. Purity is longer celebrated. The desire to participate in the sacrament of matrimony is fading.
It's fading. And I so much agree with you, Nick. I so much agree with you.
I agree as well. I agree. But why is it that you feel like women are hot girls summering it up and so much into the Cardi B's? Do you think it's just because women don't want to be under a patriarch?
I think so. I think it plays a part in taking my power back. That yes, I have allowed myself to be emotional when it comes to other issues in my relationship. I have allowed myself to sit here and be bedded in these emotions. Now I'm going to push these emotions to the side and I'm just going to get it like how I live. And a lot of women have taken up that perspective.
Clarify that for me, please, because we're talking about patriarchal system, right? Mm-hmm. Why are we talking about that as if it's a negative thing?
Oh, you don't?
Was it like?
Well, we have different perspectives on that.
Yeah. What is the definition? What is your definition when you think of it? That's why I'm confused, because I'm thinking of it as like, what's your definition when you're thinking of it?
Explain to me what you're thinking of.
Patriarchy, right? When the men, basically, to put it in simple word, when the men are the head, if we're going to keep it in household, the men are the head of the household, the men are the head of society, the men make the decisions, right?
Mm-hmm. Men is king of the castle, and women are there to serve that man.
And women are the what?
And the woman is there to serve that man and that household.
Okay.
Is that what you think? Is that how you perceive it?
Yes, and then the opposite would be the matriarchy, when the woman is the head of the castle and the king is to serve that woman, right?
Yes, we could say that. We could argue that.
So, is it negative? Is that a negative thing? I'm confused.
I think most people hear the word patriarchy and think of it automatically as something negative because it has to do with the men being at the top, being the head of the household. And my issue about this is there has not been any matriarchy that has been able to stand the test of time. I mean, the thing of it is, when the welfare system and all that stuff started coming up, that's when women start saying, I don't need a man in the house. That's when they start kicking the men out of the house and saying, oh, well, I don't need a man because the government is just going to take care of me and my kids, right?
Well, when World War II happened and women had to go into the workforce, I think that's when we first started realizing that we didn't necessarily need the man, because the women were able to work and earn and take care of the family on their own. Now, patriarchy can be considered a negative and can be considered oppressive because my value is no less than his value. My value as a woman is no less than his value as a man, and vice versa. His value as a man is no less than my value as a woman. We should be equal partnership in the relationship, and not necessarily one is valued over the other and one is here to serve the other only. We should be here to serve each other and be servants one to another.
Okay, so explain what you mean by partnership.
You are my, if I am married to you, you are my partner. Mm-hmm. We are in this thing together. As we discussed before, we're on the same mission. We have the same goal. It's not just my goal is to help you meet your goals. Now, we may balance our relationship however we choose in our relationship, but it's not just I'm only here to serve you, that my needs are not met because I serve you. That's my view and my perspective.
Okay, so let me ask you this. So if a man is considered the head of the household, the leader, does that mean that your position in the home is not valuable?
Now, each relationship, each person or each couple can design their relationship how they like to design it. Now, I'd like to think of my guy as a leader in my home. Yes, but that makes me no less than a leader. And that's that's the perspective that I come from when I say patriarchy, that the woman is considered less than the man in the relationship, that she is not valued the same in the relationship as that man.
Go ahead,
like the Facebook comment that you just had up, I don't remember what it said, but then that's what inspired me to ask that question, because I think just like the word submissive, when we talk about the word submission, how we associate a negative meaning to that word, I believe we associate a negative meaning to patriarchy, because I no disrespect to anybody, I don't involve, speaking on the Bible because I'm not a Christian, but even the Bible said that the man is the head of the household. I mean, in many words, the Bible said that we are in a patriarchal system. So then that's why I was confused as to why is it a terrible thing? Why a man being the head of the household considered? And I know we're off topic because this isn't even the topic of discussion. But I was confused as to why we're associating negativity towards a patriarchal system.
I don't view the Bible as stating that the man is valued more than a woman, because in the beginning, when he created man, male and female, he created them. They were both created.
So why are you defining patriarchy as a value more?
A patriarchal system is a social concept that man has created in order to uplift men, in order to allow the women to be servant to the men. The women and children serve the men.
I don't think that's the main basis of patriarchy. I think patriarchy has been looked at as in a negative light because of the images that we see in the media. For example, let's take Color Purple for example. Okay. I don't know any women in my family that went through what Mr. was putting Celie through. I think that's a false narrative that damaged the Black family. And
you said you don't think that you don't know of any situations like that?
I mean, I don't personally know, and the violence or whatever, that's not the norm. That's not the norm. And I think because of movies like The Color Purple and what's been portrayed in the media is the reason why women start thinking, oh, well, we've been oppressed because of this movie. Half the women that watch the movie have never been treated that way, don't know anybody in their family that's been treated that way, but yet it caused them to have a negative perception of men in our community.
Now, you might not have personally experienced it, and I'm glad that you haven't. It's a good thing that you haven't. But I have. I do. I can give you some firsthand experiences. So I know it happens.
Yeah, I know it does happen, but is that the norm?
I don't know if it's the norm overall in general, but I know it happens. I know that there are women who experience it, and I know that it's experienced a lot within the Black church.
Okay.
And I do agree with what you're saying, JD. I think that's the issue with a lot of these movies that highlight the negative. I mean, as humans, we tend to draw towards trauma and negative energy. We, excitement, trauma. That's why reality TV shows do so well when they have drama in them. So we tend to draw and for some reason relate to negativity more than we do to positive messages. So even like the Color Purple movies, like Tyler Perry movie, when some of us didn't even experience domestic violence or experience an abusive man, but because as women and we're more emotional creatures, we tend to sympathize with people who are going through traumas, and we take on their traumas as ours. So then we assign this negative narrative to the patriarchy, because that's what movies need us to do.
I agree.
I'm really happy that you two have never experienced it. I'm really happy that you don't know anyone that has never experienced it.
I didn't say I've never experienced it, but I know that it's not a lot than what we were programmed to believe it is. I mean, if you surround yourself in an environment with domestic violence and abuse and trauma, then you are going to think that, hey, this is what it is. This is all it is. And then pair that with movies, and not to take away from anybody's experience or anything like that, but it's just not the norm like these movies and the media is telling us that it is. And that's why even when we talk about going back in the 1950s, when we think all these women were just so oppressed and they were in the kitchen barefoot and pregnant and they didn't have a say and they weren't valued. It wasn't like that. It was not like that. But the media told us it was like that. The feminist movement told us it was like that. And that's why these women empowerment movement, and that's why so many people think a man being the head of the household it's equivalent to a woman being oppressed, when it's not. You can still be valuable in a patriarchy. I don't know why we associate women being less than if a man is the head of the household.
No, I think you're misconstruing my statement, but there's a difference in having a biblical relationship and having a solid foundation on what the Bible states as the structure and the order of a home, and then taking our social idea of what relationships should look like. That's why I made it clear that patriarchy is a social construct. It's not a biblical construct. It's a social construct. You don't hear patriarchy is not ever listed in the Bible. Just like imperialism is never listed in the Bible. Just like capitalism is never listed in the Bible, because those are social constructs. Matriarchy is never listed in the Bible. Those are social constructs.
What does the Bible say about the household?
What does the Bible say about the household? That husbands have one wife. Wives, love your husband. Children, obey your parents. That's order. Let all things be done decency and in order. That the husbands and wives are submissive one to another. That's order. There has to be some type of order, definitely. But that order does not necessarily mean that one is greater than the other. And that's the difference that I'm trying to highlight, is that patriarchal social structure state is a negative because it makes it perceived that the man is more valued. He is the King Kong of the jungle, and everybody needs to stay out of his way and just serve him. That's the difference.
Well, see, I think
that's not how the Bible set the order. That's not the structure that God gave us.
okay. See, I think that's where a lot of the disconnect is, because let's just take me for example. If I want to be the head of my household and lead my family in the direction that I see fit for them to go, as I follow a higher power, that doesn't mean that my wife, my significant other, is less than. All that means is that I'm the head of the household. I'm the leader. That does not mean that I don't consider anything that she wants. That doesn't mean that I don't value her opinion. But if it makes sense, it's definitely to be considered. But at the end of the day, men think more logically. Women tend to think more with their emotions. Men see things in ways that women don't always see, and sometimes vice versa. Now, if a woman is, let's just say, for example, if I'm trying to get from point A to point B, right? That's the goal. That's the goal that I set out for my family, is to get us from point A to point B. Now, I might have a way to get to point A to point B, right? But my woman might say, okay, well, the goal is to get from point A to point B, but instead of going this route, why don't you consider doing it this way? We still getting to the same goal. Then then you consider, your woman's opinion and everything like that. But at the end of the day, somebody has to make a final decision.
So I think that you and I are stating some of the same things, but I think that you probably don't choose to agree with my definition of patriarchy and why it's considered negative. Yes, I agree that every relationship will structure their relationship how they choose to structure their relationship. Majority of the time, if it's a heterosexual relationship, majority of the time, that man is going to be considered the head of the household. And yes, he will consider his wife. But there is a patriarchal system where that's just not the case. That men that operate under that type of oppressive system will think, I make all the rules and you can shut up. There is a section of our community that feel that way. And I acknowledge that that's a part of us.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I hear what you're saying, and I agree with you to a certain extent. However, if we're talking about a situation that's between two healthy people, somebody who just comes in and says, what I say goes, you're only here for bedroom fun and to make my meals. Right. That's not necessarily healthy, but the majority of black men that are upstanding black men that are trying to do better in our community and want to work with a black woman and want to help build our community. Those are the men that I'm speaking for. Those are the men that we're speaking to, and we're the ones that's saying, hey, we need more of us to be the head of the household. We need more of us to be portrayed in a more positive light, and we need our woman's help. We need our woman's help to uplift us. We need our woman's help to help us nurture our children and to help get this thing back in the right direction, because what we're doing is not working.
So you're only as strong as your weakest link. And if you don't acknowledge that that weak link is a part of your chain, then you're setting yourself up for failure. So that's the whole point of me even bringing it up. Just like I have to acknowledge that there are some women that will wreak havoc in a household, will wreak havoc in a relationship. Now, do I consider myself one of those women? No. But I have to acknowledge that they are among us. They are free, loose, wild, and setting it ablaze this summer. As they say, they are putting them sundresses on and letting the booties clap, 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 clap it up. They
Yeah,
are among us.
yeah, but is that helping us though?
No, it's not. But we have to, if we're going to move forward progressively to the table, we have to acknowledge that she is a part of us too. And she is me at the end of the day. And I have to acknowledge that, how are we going to move together? I've already stated we can't walk together unless we all agree. We got to come to some sort of agreement on how we're going to move progressively towards this table, this proverbial table.
Chantel, it's on you.
So you guys made multiple points. I just want to point out that I personally like to focus on the positive. I think it's with the stats with the amount of single parent household we have in the Black community. Yes, we can highlight that. Yes, there are some negatives around, but unless we start focusing on the positive and figuring out, as we said earlier, people who want to come to the table and work together, we can figure out what they want and how we can work together instead of just highlighting the negative in our community. That's the only way we're going to move forward. Also, there's a saying that says you can't have two bull in a pen. You can't have two chefs in the kitchen. I think many times a lot of women feel as though they want a partnership. They don't want to allow a man to lead because they want to make the decision. And that's why we have so much pushback on this whole patriarchy society, because it doesn't give women the opportunity to take control and to lead. At the end of the day, men are better leaders than women, no matter what you want to say or slice it or look at it. Men think logically, we tend to think with our emotions. And to make it simple, once a month, our emotions are all over the place. So, we do think
Until I disagree.
that once a month our emotions aren't all over the place.
I disagree.
Well, for me and many women, I know we have our menstrual cycle once a month, and my emotions are all over the place when I am on my menstrual cycle, and I'm pretty sure many women can agree that their emotions are all over the place. And to just make it simple, that's why men are logical thinkers, and that's why men, when you're making a decision in the household, the logics. Not to say that women are any less valuable than men. I think that men and women aren't equal, but we are of equal value. And two is better than one in terms of the feminine energy, the masculine energy. Earlier, you made a comment that's saying after World War II, we realized that we don't need our men. And I just don't understand.
I made the statement that after World War II, women were starting to work in the workplace. The men were going from the household, so they began to work in the workplace, and they understood that they could take care and provide for the family. So that's where that thought that, hey, I can do this by myself, that courage to do that by themselves.
Yeah, I can't even, and I'm only 30. And I understand where I need a man. So for a woman to say, oh, I don't need a man, it's really heartbreaking for lack of better words, because I've seen the benefits of having a strong masculine presence in my house. And with my future kids, I can't imagine raising son or daughter without a strong masculine presence. Men are more than just financial gains. Yes, in World War II, we could work and provide for our families by ourselves, but that is to say that the need of a man is just for financial gains. And it's men are way more than just finances.
You're definitely right about that. I do agree with that. And I would like to think, as we are becoming stronger, as we are becoming more financially savvy, as we are climbing that proverbial ladder towards success, I would like to think that women know that they don't need the man, but we also know that we want him. We want him so much so that we are willing to come to the table because we want him. I don't need him for financial gain. If you look at the Black community, the women are leading in by leaps and bounds.
And then look, saying that, look at the Black community though. We have people debating whether or not it's okay to wear a bonnet. We have young kids, 200, 300 pounds. The women are leading, yes, but look at the Black community. Are they leading
But I
in a
thought you
good
just stated
direction?
that we were not going to focus on those negatives. So those are the type things that I
No,
was trying
but
to
to your
enter into
point.
this conversation.
To your point, you proudly said that the women are leading. You just proudly said that the women are leading, but leading it to what extent? Leading that 80% of our children are born out of wedlock, leading that 80% of our women are overweight. Like, yeah, we're leading the community, but are we leading it in a positive direction?
So are we going to acknowledge the negatives or are we not?
I'm acknowledging
Because
it
when I made the
proudly
statement
said
about
that.
patriarchy, we said let's focus on the positives.
You just
So
proudly said that women are leading the community. To your point, women are
the
leading
women
the
are
community.
leading
Yes?
in success by leaps and bounds. And the point of me stating that is that as women lead in success and they are becoming more and more successful, we now have a Black Asian woman in the White House. That's the first time we've ever had a woman, period, in the White House in a position that high. As the women are leading in success and leaps and bounds, we also understand that we want this man. We want this man in our life. We don't need him necessarily, but we do want him in our life. So that's what brings us to the table. The desire that I still want you. I still want, even though I don't need any of your money, even though I don't need you to build me a house, I got a house. I don't need you to buy me a car. I got a car. You don't have to buy me shoes and bags. Baby, my closet is full, but I want you. I want you because I want your masculinity in the house so that I can just be feminine. I want you in the house because I have a softness in my heart and it's only for this man. Do you understand?
What does
Okay,
that
so-
man want from you? You said you don't need him to build a house. You have your house. You said all the things you don't need him to do. But what does that man want from you?
He has to tell me that. I need him to communicate that to me.
But what if that man
me.
wants? What if that man wants to build you the house? What if that man wants to do all those things?
I welcome him to do it, but I don't need him to. That's the difference.
I agree with that comment that you have on the screen.
Okay, so let me say this. Okay, you don't need a man, but you want a man. Let me tell you why women do need a man. A man provides a different level of structure and discipline that a woman cannot provide, and that's just the fact of the matter. I'm gonna give you this. Scenario. Let me tell you what happened. True story. Me and a group of my co-workers, we went out to watch another co-worker's sons play baseball or whatever. One co-worker, she has 3 kids, and she went to go get the kids some from the concession stand or whatever. I think they're 7, 8, 7, and 4. Well, she was fussing at the 4-year-old to eat the food. He didn't want to eat the food. So I'm sitting there watching. So you know what I did? I told him to come over here, sit on my lap, and I put the food in front of him, and he started eating. It's just simple stuff like that children may not receive from a woman, but they'll receive it differently from a man.
Yes, I agree.
And that's why I say that women do need a man, because that's the reason why so many of our homes are messed up. That's why the amount of our people that's in jail, unemployed, uneducated is so low or so high, because the lack of the man in the household.
Our kids are overweight.
All of that.
So with that being stated, there are so many success stories at the same time of women who have had to, not because they wanted to, but who have had to raise these children on their own. And their children are successful. I just saw this story of this lady graduating from law school, and she had like 5 kids on her own. Small kids that are still in school, and she still was able to do it on her own. The point I'm making is that time has proven situations that we've found ourselves in have proven that we don't need it, but we do want it. We do want that man in the house.
Yeah,
We don't need it, but we do want him in the house.
I just think it's, I mean, and you know, I'm young, probably it's from ignorance, but I just think I wouldn't want to be with someone who is saying, oh, I don't need you here. I just want you here. You are easily replaceable. You're an option. I would, when I'm in a marriage, I would want my husband to value me so much that to some extent he needed me. I mean, not saying desperately needed me, and if I wasn't there, then he'll just jump off a building, but need me to the sense where like, wow, I am valuable to this man's life, and vice versa. I would want my husband, my future husband, to know that no matter how financially well off I am, no matter how much I know how to change a tire, I need him in the household and I value him in my household.
So maybe there is a naivete there, but after experiencing that same naivete and then experiencing the opposite side where I became a single mom and never desired to be that, I had to learn that, okay, I can do this. I couldn't just crumble over and die because the man was no longer there. I had to learn, I gotta do this for my kid. I could not just fall away and say, Lord, I give up because I can't do this without a man. I could not do that. I had to learn the strength of who I am and what I could do, me and the power of God, and all the help that he would give me and supply me, that I could do it. And that's where a lot of women have found themselves. There are only 36% of African-American homes with two parents in the home. That leaves the greater majority of single parent households. And out of that single parent household pool, how much of it do you think is male dominated single parent household? It's the majority of women that are running that single parent household. And there's a majority of women that are learning that I got to do this. I got to do this on my own.
So that is that a result
or whether life chose for me? I got to do this on my own.
So do you believe that that's a result from women walking around with a mindset that they don't need a man?
I believe maybe if that women have learned that they don't need the man because they found themselves in that situation.
Do you believe that two is better than one?
I do.
Do you believe
absolutely do? And a threefold cord can no man break. If the two have God in their life, if there's two in the house and God is in there, then the threefold cord can no man break. Now, with that being stated, just because there are two parents in the household does not mean that that is a strong foundation either. Ask me how I know, and I'll tell you so. That's not always the case either.
And as I said earlier, I don't think I said it to the audience. You know, I use my channel to speak with women in my age group and younger women, especially teenage girls, so they don't go through the struggle of being a single parent. Because you can sit here and advocate for a single parent household and say a woman is strong and she don't need a man for anything. But common sense can tell us that two is better than one. And if a young lady is supposed to have a child, she needs a man in the household. Even if she's financially available to take care of her child herself, if she can do all these things that she physically don't need a man for to raise that child, a single woman needs a man in the household. And I'm emphasizing the need. So we can say, yeah, this woman graduated with 5 kids. What is that doing to the children? The children did not have a father. We have to stop looking at this as something as, oh yeah, I'm a strong woman. We have to stop wearing single motherhood as a badge of honor and start respecting men first of all. You're telling a group of men that we don't need them. You're telling your sons that we don't need them. I just want you. You're optional. You're telling the black sons that because how you are speaking to black men is basically how you're speaking to young boys, your son, 12-year-old, 14-year-old, these young boys who are transitioning into their manhood. You're telling them that the woman who looks like you don't need you. They just want you. You're optional. You're easily replaceable. We need to stop thinking of this as just words and start paying
So
attention
I
to what
think
is
that you're
important for
misconstruing my
you.
statement, because when I say I want you, that's different and that's deeper than I needed you. Because sometimes,
I don't think so. And this is the reason
no,
why.
from my perspective, that's exactly what I mean. When I say I
But
want you, that's
JD,
much more
JD,
deeper
yeah, but
than
you
I
you
need
got to
you.
look at it.
Because I can need you for
Pull up the
one.
last
I
comment
can
on
need
the
you for
screen,
one
please.
reason, and I can have you fulfill that need, and that's
No, the
it.
Facebook
But when
comment.
I want you, it goes deeper than that. That's a desire
No,
from
no,
my
the last
soul. I
one. The
want
last
you
one. It
in
says
my
we
life.
don't need a man to
Being able to
yeah.
state that I want you is me stating that I am vulnerable enough to say that, hey, without you in my life, things are changed. Things are different if I don't have you here. I desire to have you here. That's a more vulnerable place. Now, I have a little more life experience. Yes, I have been through some more things. I am a whole decade older than you. So life has taught me some things that maybe at 20 years old, I didn't know. But because I know it now, I know not to operate out of emotionalism. I know now how to lead and guide with logic and not my emotions. I understand that I cannot have emotional outbursts at every whim, at every challenge of my life. And that's what I'm saying when I say I have learned that I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't
So
need him.
would you tell
I
your
desire
30-year-old
to
self?
have him. Life is
Would you tell
definitely
your
better now that I have him in my life.
being a 40-year-old woman now, would you tell your 30-year-old self that you needed a man? Like within that 10 years, could you see where, so if you were 30 with this same mindset, you are okay, you wouldn't tell your younger self, give your younger self any other advice than thinking that you don't need a man?
If I was able to talk to my younger self at this point in time, I would give myself a better advice and outlook on how to date and how to approach a relationship. I grew up in a strong, strict church environment where the dating definitely wasn't even discussed at length. All I knew is the couples that my parents were married forever. My parents were married for 42 years until my mom passed away. The couples in my environment were married forever. They were together forever. In our church, I have aunts and uncles that have been married over half a century. So all I knew is to grow up, get married, and have a family. That all I desired was to have a husband. I didn't want to be someone's girlfriend for a long time. I wanted to be a wife. I had that mindset that I need a man. And that mindset will lead you down the pick me train if you're not careful, because you really I need to have a man. I need to have a
What is
man.
the pick?
Like
What
the
is the
man
pick
is
me
the
train?
prize. But when
What
you
is
understand that your value is important, just like his value is important, you don't approach a relationship with that mindset. I
what's a
desire
pick
to
me
have a man in
train?
my life. Say that again.
You said that mindset will lead you down a pick me train. I'm not familiar with that terminology.
Pick me.
Yeah, you said it will lead you down a pick me train. What is that?
That I want somebody so bad. I need a man so bad that I don't value myself unless I have that man. I need a man
Okay.
to pick me, choose me, see me. Please pick me. Let me be your woman. Please, I'll do what I need to do to be your woman
So
because I need to have a man.
in relationships, do you understand what, like, do you value what men want to then?
Do
Or
I
is it
value what men want? I'm about to
yeah,
get
like
married. Of course, I value what my husband wants. Yes,
so
I
so
value
then
what he
so then in the
desires.
sense so then in a sense of saying like the pick me train where you're like, oh look, I want you to pick me. How did he pick you then if you weren't a pick me?
I had gotten to a place where I had gotten to a place where I was okay if I never got married again. I
Okay.
had dated for so long and just terrible situations where I was just like, no, I'm not going to keep doing this. I'm not going to keep doing this. If this is what the dating pool is like, okay, I will be by myself because I value me. I had come to that place of I value me.
What led you to that
I
place?
value my time. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to destroy my peace just to have somebody in my life. I
What
don't have
led you to
that.
this
I
love?
don't have to do that. So when I began to value myself, then God and life brought a man in my space that valued me as well. And in fact, if it wasn't the tapping of the Holy Spirit on my shoulder, I probably would have overlooked him because I had gotten so comfortable being by myself. But like I
So
said,
what got you to
I
that
wanted
place?
him in my life.
What got you? What got you to that place of saying you were done with dating?
Experiencing too much foolishness, childishness, immaturity, not
On
ready
on
yet
one
to
part
be
or
a
your
leader
part?
like I need him to be a leader. And there are too many women that have that same testimony, having too much foolishness going on. I'm not going to put up with everything. I'm not the mule in a mattress for a man. No, 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 no. I
Was it
have
the
that.
kind of men you were attracting?
Yes, Chantel, that was the kind of man that I was attracting.
Okay, because I find that common, especially in doing my space. I find that that's a common complaint that a man to lead. There's no man. You always have to.
Right, Marilyn.
Pardon me.
I was responding to the comments.
Okay, we can just move on then.
This is what I want to say. I had a woman tell me directly to my face that she does not need me. And you know how that made me feel? You know what I thought with me being an upstanding man trying to be a leader, provider, male, that just made me want to leave.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't need me, then I'll just leave. I can find somebody else who values me more because you can want a pair of shoes. You don't need a pair of shoes, but you just want a pair of shoes. That's how men feel that we've been reduced down to.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just the fact that and like I said earlier, I've had a lot of guys hit me up and say, "Hey, I like what you're doing. I appreciate what you're doing. We haven't been able to express these feelings." And you could flip this coin the other way. I can clean my house. I know how to cook. I can say I don't need a woman. But
and that's the way you should be.
I disagree.
That's the way you should be.
I
and
disagree.
You know what? I told you we've been going through premarital counseling, and that was one of the things that he said to us when I stated to him how I approached the relationship, and my mindset was at the point to where, okay, I've been doing this so long, I've been by myself for so long. I don't want to continue to do this dating thing. I'm okay being by myself, to the place where I realized I didn't need a man, but I wanted him. When he arrived and presented himself to me, it was like, yes, God, I want him. And you know what was told to us? That's the place that we need to be in, because the only person that you should need is God. When you know that you need God first and you desire everything else, then you have the right perspective on the relationship.
I agree with you to a certain extent, but in order for us to get better in our community, do we or do we not need 2-parent households?
Yes, we do.
I'm sorry, I missed the last part. If we not need to what?
If we want to make our community better, do we or do we not need more 2-parent households?
And
if we need more 2-parent households, then I would submit that a man needs a woman and a woman needs a man.
Mm-hmm.
We need each other, and the want should be for us to build solid families and a solid community, because what we've been doing, it has not been working at all. We need to do something different. And all of these times, I keep hearing, well, we live in different times now. Times are changing. Change doesn't always mean better. Change just means different. Mm-hmm. Just because something changes doesn't mean it's changing for the better. And I believe I said it on another show. I mean, we've done a lot worse, having a lot more than what our ancestors had, and they've done a considerably better job. You know, somehow we got this thing wrong, and we need to figure out a way to come back together in order for a man and a woman just to be able to work together. And another thing too, when this lady told me that she does not need me, and that she wanted to be more of a partnership because she's always been in control in a relationship, that just lets me know that it's a lot of women out there that felt like they had to lead in a relationship, wanted to be in control in a relationship. So when they find a man who wants to be a leader and wants to be a solid father figure or that masculine figure in the home, a lot of women don't know how to deal with it.
They don't know how to deal with these masculine men that they say they want, because they don't know how to take a step back and allow a man to lead. And you know what it is? I find that it's a lot of hurt. I find that it's a lot of trauma. It's a lot of pain. It's a lot of things that you've been through, and, you know, not getting the necessary therapy, not just letting go. And I find that, and that's why I kind of use my channel to speak to younger women now, because I find that the older women are so hurt about their past, are so hurt about what they witnessed, that they can't just let go and say, hey, I see a value in a man and I need a man. I want this specific man, but I need a man in general. The simple fact of just admitting that, like, they can't. And I see it every day on my channel. And like, these women will say, oh, you're too young, you don't know yet, you don't go through the hurt, a man haven't disappointed you yet. And it's like, really? That's where we are? At what point are we going to stop letting our traumas dictate our life? It's sad to witness women who I would want to look up to, women who I would want to ask these questions to, are so against allowing a man to be the head of the household. It's unfortunate to witness.
So we are down a rabbit hole. And we've been down the rabbit hole for an hour now.
But it's all good. We just having a conversation.
To my point, I never said that he cannot be the head of my household. I said that I don't need him. I want him.
All right. So who should come to the table first? Alabama Church Girl? Who should come to the table first?
You sure you want me to answer?
Yeah, go ahead.
My statement from the beginning was, I feel like the women have never left the table, that men have been booted out for whatever reason, and we want them to come back.
Well, I feel like the men have never left the table. That's just my opinion. Chantel, before we move on.
Men never left the table. Women left the table because they knew how to pay their bills and decided that they didn't need men anymore.
All right. Let's move on to the next topic. I know time is running. So what needs to happen for us to be able to work together?
Communication. You know, that's my key. I feel like communication resolves all human problems.
Okay. Chantel, what do you think needs to happen in order for us to work together as men and women trying to build our community? What needs to happen?
Understanding. Communication is important, yes, but men have been trying to communicate with women for so long. Women just aren't taking a step back to understand what men have been saying. I think we need some kind of understanding to realize men and women are different, and how a man feels love is different from how a woman feels love. I'm bringing back to the whole need. Men feel love when they feel needed. Women walking around saying I don't need a man is making a man not feel loved. And I'm pretty sure, JD, you can, when you said the woman says she doesn't need you, I'm pretty sure that's what triggered you leaving. So I think it's understanding, realizing that we're two different group of people, and we just need understanding.
Right. Definitely.
I want to play Escape song right now. We had the DJ on the ones and twos.
And that's really understanding and communication. I think that's really what it boils down to, because I mean, 2021, men don't understand women for the most part, and women definitely don't understand men. I mean, to me, women look at what they want and think that's what men want. It's not the same thing. Women receive love differently than a man, and a man receives love differently than a woman. You know, and I agree with my brother Bates here. Sometimes that independent attitude is a really, really big turnoff, because I mean, once you hear a woman say, "Well, I'm independent," that also usually leads to them being disrespectful and not even want to be cooperative with a man. And that's all we want, really. At the end of the day, a man wants a woman that'll be nice to him and that'll be cooperative to him, and that will look good, because men are visual. Men are very, very.
That's all
very,
they want.
Men are basic. Listen, men are basic. Men want somebody to be nice to them,
nice,
cooperative,
cooperate,
and meaning submissive, because submissive and cooperative, that's the same thing, and to look good.
And to look good. That's all she needs.
I mean, that's the basis of it. I mean, once you get those three things, I mean, you pretty much got everything in the bag. I mean, in my humble opinion, and women look at submissiveness or being cooperative with a man as something negative all the time, and I don't understand why.
Not all the time. Not all the time. I'm one.
Would you say most? Would you say most instead of? Would it be the most? Would you say the majority?
Okay, so I have a different mindset about that, because I can't stand arguing, and I don't participate. I don't come to the table like that. We both gonna cooperate with each other. We're gonna talk to each other with some good sense and some good peace and respectfulness. And we're not gonna do all that. We're not gonna get. I don't like that. I don't like to escalate situations. We can talk about anything, no matter how hard the conversation has to be. We can talk about anything, but it does not have to escalate. It does not have to be an emotional outburst. It does not. It really
and I agree with you. It does not have to be an emotional outburst, but the way that your mindset is, the way that Chantel's mindset is that the majority of Black women.
I can't say because I experienced relationships with women, not on the same level that you have. But I'm just saying, from my perspective, I don't want to argue to the point to where my relationship is damaged. And I feel that way when it comes to my relationship with my spouse, my relationship with my child, my relationship with my coworkers, my relationship with my colleagues. I want to be able to talk about anything and respect you enough to say, although I don't agree with you, we can walk away from this table at peace and we can go have lunch. We can still kick it. Even though I don't agree with you, it's okay. It's okay. We're different people. We're gonna have different ideas. We're gonna have different perspectives. It's okay.
Okay. So if let's just say you and your husband and y'all have a disagreement, and let's just say it doesn't over escalate, doesn't blow up, and y'all are having a normal conversation, but the two of you disagree, can't come to an understanding, who makes the final decision?
So I'll give you some examples. Me and my guy, we are a lot alike in that we grew up in the same hometown. We both have country tendencies. He likes to say I'm not really a true country girl. I'm more of a city girl with country girl tendencies. I feel he's the same. We both have, well, he grew up in a single parent household but I grew up in a 2-parent household. He grew up in Catholic church. I grew up in Pentecostal church. We have a lot in common as far as what molded and shaped our thought. But when it comes to politics, we differ in some things. There are some things that we think alike, but there are some things that we think differently. And that's something that I choose not to just keep going around and around and around the mulberry bush with him about. Baby, I don't agree. And that's it.
Okay. I see where you're coming from, but what I'm talking more of in a situation to where a decision has to be made for the family. Okay, let's just say, for example, he says, "Okay, babe, I think we need a bigger house," and then you say, "Well, I don't think we need a bigger house. I don't know if we can afford it." And he says, "Well, I think we can afford it just fine. We need a bigger house," and you all discussing, weighing the pros and the cons, and you still say we don't need to move. He says he needs to move. Who makes the final decision?
It's not necessarily who makes the final decision. It's what's good for the greater. And typically, I will fold first because I just like peace. I just enjoy peace, especially if it's gonna make us better in the long run. Okay, baby.
Okay. Chantel?
I'm not married, so we can talk about hypothetical. I believe that the man is the head of the household, and I believe that the man makes the decisions. I believe that when God created me, he created me to be my man's helpmate. So if my man tells me that we need a bigger house and we sit down and do the plans and work it out, then we get a bigger house. I believe that I vetted properly when I married the guy I married, and I follow his lead, and I trust him to lead me. So there's no back and forth argument or anything. He makes the decision in the household.
Okay. All right. Very good. That's what we like.
Can I give you an example of something, JD?
Come on with it.
That just happened to us recently. We're getting married in August.
Mm-hmm.
And we've kind of spent quite a bit towards the wedding. Mm-hmm. so we're not hurting, but you want to keep savings high. And right now we've spent quite a bit. So he was like, "Hey, I ran into this guy that was doing the roof on one of the neighbors' house, and he gave me a good rate. I think we should go ahead and get the roof done." And he's more impulsive in spending than I am. Mm-hmm. He was just like, "Okay, let me call the insurance and see what we can do." And the next thing I know, the people are at the house changing the roof out. And I was just like, "Whoa, Nelly, we've spent quite a bit." Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, you know what? Babe is on it. He wants to do this, so the roof is not leaking. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let him do that, right? But at the end of the day, once it was all said and done, now he's getting ready to go on his bachelor weekend, and the funds ain't thriving like they were. He sees, okay, babe, you know what? We probably should have waited on that, and he can see my perspective and see my point of view, and he values more my perspective and my point of view. But I think we both made a concession to each other in that.
Okay. So to wrap up this topic, because I really want to get to this last thing. I'm really excited about this last one. What needs to happen for us to work together, we need more cooperation and understanding. And that's what these kind of spaces are for, is for women to kind of understand where the man is coming from, because it just has not been happening. Anytime after the 80s and on up, women have not been able to understand men at all. So we want to go to the next topic, our last topic. Yes.
I have to that point you just made. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that women aren't able to understand men?
I think women are not able to understand men because women have not been willing to work with a man over the last 20 to 30 years. And also, women don't understand men because there haven't been many men in the household for a woman to see how a real man actually moves, to see what a real man is
Okay.
actually thinking, to see what a real man is actually about. They haven't seen it. And the media narrative plays a big part in it too, because all women have been seeing in the media is, oh, well, I'm going to get cheated on. If I get married, my value is not going to be as high as he is. I'm going to get walked over and I have to give up X, Y, and Z to do whatever he wants. That's why I feel like it's such a big disconnect between men understanding women, and also a lot of women, like my brother says, adult supervision is because they want to be in control, and the master need not necessarily understand the service. I do feel like most women do not want to give up their control at all, and they feel like if they're working with a man, they're giving up a big level of control that honestly should not be. Just my opinion. Val, I see the look on your face.
These words, I didn't use them.
I see the look on your face.
I didn't use those.
Say again?
I said those words. I didn't use those.
Well, I feel you, but again, I feel like the majority of women, putting you and Chantel aside, this is what the majority of women feel. And this is what the majority of women put forward. And this is why the majority of our people are not married. And that's why the majority of our people have single parent homes. Just my opinion. So before we get ready to wrap up, let's do something a little more lighthearted. Just a little more lighthearted. Can she keep a man? Can she keep a man?
With all that, we should be able to keep a man, right?
This came across the timeline. J-Lo, one of the baddest women on the planet. Is it safe to say that after 4 marriages, 1, 2, 3, not 1, 2, 4 marriages and 7 engagements, that she's the problem? Chantel, what do you think?
I mean, and it's so funny. I had to laugh when you sent me this because I was thinking of discussing this on my page. I mean, after a certain while, as women, we have to take a step back and self-reflect and look in the mirror. I had to do it at the young age of 25 after repeatedly getting undesirable dating patterns. I mean, I know I'm not no J-Lo. Right. I mean, I work out, but I don't work out that much, I know I'm not no J-Lo, but I know I'm not average at best. But after getting all my undesirable dating patterns after another, and with my spirituality and knowing that, I attract things to me. The God I believe in has my best interest at heart, and that God is going to send me my desires. But then I look around and I was not getting my desires. I had to look in the mirror and say, is it something I'm doing wrong? And after doing that self-assessment and spending time with my God and asking these hard questions and bawling my eyes out and visiting therapy, I realized that it was something I was doing wrong. We attract people to us. We attract who and what we are. And I mean, after 4 marriages and 7 engagements, if you can't keep a man, you got to stop at some point. You got to stop blaming outside factors and looking within. So I mean, I'm not saying she's the problem. I don't know her personally, but I mean, there's a high chance that she needs to do some self-reflection, talk to her God, say a couple prayers.
A couple prayers, not just one. She needs more than one. All right, Val, what do you say? Is it safe to say that J-Lo might be the problem?
I think it's safe to say that it ain't how bad you look. Because she one of the baddest. She's one of the coldest. Look at that. And people say that, it can be argued that J-Lo made way for Kim Kardashian. It could be argued that Beyonce took over J-Lo's spotlight. Mm-hmm. And in the early part of her career, people would say that Beyonce was trying to be like J-Lo. They would compare their side to sides on their hair color, their hairstyles, their fashion choices, the glitzy costumes they would use for stage performance. But if that body, that face, all that independence that she has is not working for her, I agree with Chantel. She got to look inside and find out what's going on inside. Maybe her and Halle Berry need to go see the same therapist.
Right.
What's going on the inside?
But now here's the thing. Here's the question behind all of this. Is J-Lo, putting who she is aside, is she able to to take accountability?
So something that I would say that I have noticed by her patterns, I don't know her personally. These are just my opinions, my objective view of her life. It seems to me that when she's in a relationship, she tries to take on the characteristic of her mate. She tries to mold herself in what she thinks her mate needs. For instance, we've seen her in several relationships. When she was with Ben Affleck, she was the girl next door. And people love to see them together, right? Mm-hmm. When she was with Puff Daddy, she was Jenny from the block. With all the big furs and the scantily clad clothing, right? Mm-hmm. When we saw her get with Ricky Martin, she disappeared when she married him. I don't know what that was all about, but she disappeared. Then we see her get with A-Rod and they're on the business tip. They do a lot of business together. Now they say she's back with Ben Affleck. After 17 years, they're back together, or they've been spotted smooching and smirching around Miami together. But I think she tries to take on what she thinks her mate wants her to be instead of her being her best self. And that's why, I say that she probably needs to do some self-reflection. What does J-Lo want? What do I desire? And what would bring value to my life? And how can I bring value to someone else's life? I think, she needs to look within and have a relationship with herself.
Now, I like what you said on the end, trying to figure out how she can add value to somebody else's life. Now, I'm of the opinion that women need to look at that more, because so many women in our current society, our current culture, all they want to do is take, but not bringing anything to the table. It's a channel out there, and I might put a link into the description, but I think it's called It's Complicated. And if y'all haven't watched that brother's channel, go check it out. It will really put things in perspective for you. If you ask women what they bring to the table, and if you tell them that they can't say money and they can't say bedroom fun, y'all know what I'm talking about. A lot of them are stumped and can't even answer that question. If you just take away the bedroom fun, a lot of them don't even know what they bring to the table. Chantel, what do you got for us?
Thank you, Mark Anthony, not Ricky Martin. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're absolutely right. And I think like you can't really blame us women for not knowing what value we bring, because for so long, we were told we are the table, we are the prize. A man is supposed to learn how to get us and keep us. And no emphasis was put on what men want from us. We were thinking, oh, the bedroom fun and wash, cook, and clean, and that's all a man want. But no emphasis is really placed on what the man actually wants. How can you bring value to the man's life? So I sympathize with young women or older women who find themselves in a situation like this and really don't know how to bring value to a man's life. But it's extreme, and we have these women who are so entitled, thinking, especially man. I can't even say anything, because if I looked like J-Lo, I would have walked around with a little bit more entitlement, But I just can't imagine what it's like dating her, knowing how she looks, and knowing all her money or her independence, all these things. She probably don't believe that she have to bring any value to a man's life, but just being on his arm, and it's sad.
So I think that her relationship patterns could challenge your theory that you proposed earlier, JD, of those 3 things that you want from a woman. That cooperation. What did you say? She needs to look good and be willing or something.
Cooperative, friendly, and look good.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure she checks those boxes, but it's some other things that are much deeper that she probably isn't fulfilling.
Well, I would argue that, okay, if you got a woman that's being friendly, that means you got peace, right? But if you got a woman that can't be friendly and nice to you, then a man ain't got no peace. That man does not have any peace in that situation. Now, I'll speak for myself. It was a time in I'm divorced too, and it was a time that I didn't even want to come home. I would find extra stuff to do in my office at work just to not come home, and she was fine. You know what I'm saying? Checked every other box, but that peace factor, you know what I'm saying? That was enough. That peace factor is enough for a man to want to let it go. And then you made the suggestion that she kind of molded to who she was with. I would also argue that whoever she was with, she did what benefited her.
She did. She definitely did. And
she benefited out of all of that.
Patterns is that she will drop you if she feels like there's any type of trouble around you. She'll drop you in a heartbeat. I got to go.
and to even bring it full circle, that I think, and JD, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's why men value when women need them, when women act as though they need them, because who knows, with all her resources that she have and looking how she look, she probably acts as though she don't need her man, and she can drop you at the any mistake you make, any slip up, she'll just get rid of you and move on to the next. So maybe that was her problem. Maybe she didn't treat her men like they were valuable. Maybe she wasn't peace if she isn't. And of course, we don't know her personally, but we can only assume.
Yeah, right. I would argue that she decided she didn't want him no more.
I don't know. I wish I could.
She never needed him. She never needed him.
I wish I could talk to her exes.
Your situation's changed, so I got to go.
Yeah, I really wish I could talk to her exes just to see, but I'm on the outside looking in. She can pull them, but she can't keep them.
You know what, though? I would say this. I think she really hurt Puff Daddy. Because he was really trying to be in there with her. When he got into that trouble, she was out of the door. And he has been just a scoundrel ever since.
Yeah, I agree. But I would suggest that The problem might be with J-Lo. The
Yeah.
problem might be with J-Lo. Go ahead.
I must add, we can make light of it and we can laugh about it, but like how many young girls are with this entitlement? How many young girls are with this same mindset where, I don't need a man, I can replace you, easily replaceable, and will adapt this same programming and continue to have only 1 in 4 Black women getting married, or 80% of us being born out of wedlock. At what point do we realize that it might be cute, it might be funny that men are easily replaceable, but are we going to learn how to work with these men? Are we going to actually learn how to build 2-parent households in our community, or are we just going to continue to boast that we don't need these men?
So I don't think there's aside from whatever religious book that we ascribe to, I don't think that there's a manual on how to do marriage, how to have relationships, aside from whatever religious book that we ascribe to. But what I will say, there is a natural inclination on how to do relationships. Same thing with being a parent. There's no manual to it, but something in our nature teaches us how to do it right. And when you're willing and you want it, you do it right. You get it right. You do everything in your power to try to get it right. Even our examples in life, they might be good examples, they might be bad, but we can learn from every one of them how to get it right. When we see something that's productive, we can glean from that. When we see something that's destructive, we can learn not to do those things in order to get it right. I see that, in my personal parenting, I have learned, even from bad examples, hey, I'm not going to do that to my kid. I'm going to value my kid in such a way that I don't make those same mistakes. And I think that we can be have that same type of mindset when it comes to our interpersonal relationships with our mate and our partner, that, hey, I'm not going to do this because I want this in my life. I and that's the way I feel about my soon to be spouse. I want him. So there's certain things I'm just not going to do. I choose not to be a hell-raising woman in my house. I know how that runs the man out of the house. We've talked about this before in love and relationships. If y'all hadn't watched the videos, please go back and click and play so you can see what we're talking about on today. So, but I have also learned that I don't have to come to the table making my list and making sure he check every box. I don't have to do that. My presentation will present to him, okay, this is the level of respect I'm going to bring to you. And I require that. I require this level of respect as well. Same way I would in the office. There's a certain way that I keep a professional decorum that, hey, I require that back. I don't call my colleagues the B word. I don't come to the table yelling and screaming or whatever, because I want to keep this a professional relationship. I require that back. Same way I would in my interpersonal relationship with my spouse, that I don't have a manual on how to do it, but there's something in my soul, deep in my soul, that teaches me how to keep this relationship that I want in my life. I love my man. I do. Even though I knew from the top that I need him in my life, I love him and I want him. And I'm going to do what it takes to keep him.
Well, that's good. That's commendable. Go ahead, Chantel.
Yeah, I agree that there's something in us that tells us, like, okay, this is what it's supposed to be like. This is how it's, because we can even like attracting kind of men that we don't want, attracting the beta male, and you're saying like, I desire a man who is going to lead and take charge. So there is something in us that tells us, if it's our bio, if it's our instinct, whatever it is, that tells us, okay, this is my role, and those are his roles, and that's what I want from the relationship. But I do believe that with social media pressures, influences from the media and stuff, there is a contradiction to what we want in the relationship and what society is telling us that a relationship should be like. And we can keep it simple. A simple example is, relationship. Society is telling women that we are supposed to go out and work as hard as a man, and we're as equal as a man. And, we don't want to be a 1950s housewife in the kitchen. But many of us desire to have nurturing side because of our instinct. So though, yes, our bio or instincts will help us when we're in these relationships, we can't depend fully on them with so much societal pressure bringing us in, encouraging us to go in the opposite direction.
So I do believe that there is ages and stages of life that where the elders teach the younger how to make it happen. Like I said, I grew up around couples that have been together for decades. And I like to be around the elder women and listen to them talk so I can learn from them how they make it work, I can learn from
the elder
them.
women who had successful relationships.
Say that again.
You mean the elder woman who had successful relationship? Because I know personally, I have one older woman that I can turn to. Everybody else is like they don't represent the kind of relationship, the traditional kind of relationship I want to. In this day and age, young women don't have older women to look up to if we want to be more traditional.
I think we do. I think we do. I think that we have to have discernment to know what to pick and choose. you can learn from everybody, whether they have made a positive or negative representation. You can learn from everybody. Either you can learn what to do or what not to do. I think that, there are those there in our community. And if we, I think we're at our detriment if we discredit what they have to offer.
Because even the question that's on the screen, that's a really good point, or little girls twerking. Who is teaching that? It's their elders.
Right. And
and as I said earlier, the young boys are paying attention.
Say that again.
Say that again, Chantel. You kind of cut out.
JD, I think there's a delay on you. Oh, yeah, I stopped talking because you said something. I was just saying that, as I said earlier, the young boys are paying attention, hearing how we are talking about men. And
something happened.
She froze on us. But I think the point that she's trying to make is that the men are the young men are listening and looking at what's going on too, and thinking that it's acceptable. Am I right in what I'm saying, Chantel? Thinking that it's acceptable. Am I right in what I'm saying, Chantel?
Yes, I'm sorry, I went out. Can you repeat that?
No, I was trying to finish up the thought that you were saying before it kind of froze up.
Can you repeat that?
You cut out when you were saying about our young men saying something. We lost for a second. Maybe she'll jump back in. But
I think that it's important though that the more mature women really do teach morals and values, and that's something I know that my son is heavy on social media. I know that he is, but he's going to be somebody's husband. And at the end of the day, he's going to be somebody's daddy at the end of the day. And I'm always trying to explain to him, look, you know who your mama is, you know what I require. Right. Don't bring no hoochie mama home thinking that she's going to have my grandchild, because I will bust her head, son.
Not bust her head.
I will. I will do the work that her mama forgot.
But here, just to kind of wrap things up, I think we're on the right track, and I think more people are waking up to what these types of spaces are trying to do, because something definitely needs to be done, because we haven't been doing it right over the last several years. But I think you said something good about discernment and knowing who to listen to and who not to listen to, because in a lot of cases, age does not equal maturity. And in a lot of cases, I found out that the 50-year-old is just as confused as the 15-year-old. And vice versa, and that's not necessarily a good thing. And another thing that I saw too, or that I see too, and we'll go ahead and wrap things up. A lot of people in the younger generation don't want to listen to older people just because they think that, oh, that's old timey. That didn't mean anything now. And like I said earlier, just because things are changing, that doesn't mean that it's better. Change just means.
But we read history books in school for a reason, to learn from what happened.
Right. Chantel, can you hear us? I think she's coming back on. I wanted to see, give her a chance to give some final thoughts while we're wrapping up here. I want to be respectable of everybody's time here, and the time is far spent. While we're waiting to see if Chantel can come back on, why don't y'all take the time out to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Chantel's channel is in the description. Her IG is in the description. Follow Alabama Church Girl. Her Twitter handle is in the description. And if you want to join our group, the Facebook link is in the description as well. This has been another great discussion. When you say so, Val?
I think so. You know what? I want to say something because we have a healthy discussion week to week. I think that it's good that we don't always agree.
I think so too.
I think so too. And I want people to understand we don't hate each other because we don't always agree.
Right. It
ain't no fighting.
Right. And just because, we have different views on different things, that doesn't mean we have to bash anybody. That doesn't mean we have to, start calling names and, get all up in arms. We just here to have a discussion, right?
Right.
We're here to have the conversation. That's what this group is all about. I want people in the group to feel comfortable saying what they feel, but also be respectable at the same time. So, if y'all like what you see here tonight, if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, join the group, follow us on all of our social media sites, and Chantel, can you hear us? I don't know if she's gonna be able to get back on. But if you have not checked out her channel, again, links to her Instagram and her YouTube is in the description. Links to my YouTube channel is in the description. Follow Alabama Church Girl. Her Twitter handle is in the description. We have had another great discussion. Don't forget to share the video either. I need y'all to share this video, get the discussion out there, let everybody know what we're doing over here. And if you're watching on the replay, don't feel ashamed to jump down in the comments too. For JD, aka Mr. December, the Alabama Church Girl, and Chantel Simone, we'll see y'all next week. We out. Peace.